I mean, I think AI has broken a lot of how marketing works. And because it has broken how marketing works, it's broken a lot of the metrics. I think one of the things of the inbound marketing era, the last era of marketing, is that visits were really predictable. It's like, oh, I know exactly how many visits I'm going to get from Google search, from Google PPC, from Facebook. And now AI is completely destroying that.
Welcome back to CMOs Unscripted. Guys, this is season 2. I'm so excited. As you know, we are skipping the buzzwords. We are talking about what is actually changing in marketing. Today's guest, I'm fangirling, is someone who hasn't just watched marketing evolve. He's actually helped build the modern playbook. Kipp Bodnar is here. He's the CMO of HubSpot. He's been on the front lines through inbound, through MarTech explosion, through RevOps, and now AI, which he says it's breaking some of the metrics that marketers have relied on for years. We're going to talk about that. Kipp, it is so great to have you. Thank you for joining us on CMOs Unscripted.
Lisa, I couldn't be more excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me today.
It's my pleasure. So we're going to talk about what really changed over the last 15 years, guys. Why AI is forcing function, that CMOs are going, hey, we have to rethink attribution. We have to rethink KPIs. Marketing leaders are redesigning their teams, their workflows right now because of AI. We're going to talk about that. Kipp is also going to walk us through, I love this, guys, his AI adoption framework, the Loop. It's an acronym, so keep your notes. And how it's showing up inside HubSpot today. And then, of course, at the end, we'll end with a lightning round. We're going to talk marketing myths. We're going to talk underrated AI use cases and one tool that Kipp would happily cut from his stack. Kipp, it is great to have you. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time.
Happy to do it. And this is fun. Anytime we get to talk about marketing, it's a good day.
Right? I agree. Right. I agree.
Totally.
Since we met last fall, we are like, right?
We're on the same page. We got this.
We are. But you've lived through and you've shaped, and I love this, some of the biggest shifts in modern marketing. When you look back at it's hard to imagine 15 years, but when you look back at that, what were some of the major chapters of that evolution from your lens?
Yeah, when you think about marketing, I always think about it as like, what were the major consumer behavior changes that then led to the marketers having to evolve? And the first big one was the second generation of the internet, Web 2, where you had Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Snap, and the social web kind of exploded. And you had that in parallel with the mobile phone and smartphone explosion. And that created a whole host of new opportunities for marketers. At HubSpot, we called that inbound marketing. We wrote this book called Inbound Marketing. We basically scaled our company through the early days of inbound marketing. Then you kind of got into the maturation of marketing technology, marketing automation really getting good, marketing attribution really getting good. And you had that, like you called it, the MarTech explosion. And I look at that as like, oh, the technology was so good that you could really run a robust digital marketing operation. And now we're in kind of the newest phase. It's kind of the post-ChatGPT era of AI, where you have large language models, I think really changing everything about being a marketer. And I think it's still early days. We're all learning together, but it's a very, very fun time to be doing marketing.
It is a fun time. There's so much changing. There's so much the tools we have now that we didn't have. I started 20 years ago, and it's like, what? I can't imagine doing my master's thesis with ChatGPT.
No.
And pat me on the back. I did it without. But if we look back at inbound, back in the day, Kipp, that fundamentally changed how marketers were attracting, engaging audiences. How do you think that set the stage for everything that has come since?
Yes. If you think about the early thesis of inbound marketing, it was, wow, the internet allows you to reach your customers directly. You don't have to interrupt them with really spammy, bad emails and ads. You instead can create a ton of value for them. I remember, Lisa, because I'm old, that you could search Google and not get any good answers, right? Like you could just look at the search page and be like, wait, there's nothing about this on the internet.
Yes.
And that meant there was a huge opportunity for companies to go and fill that gap. And there was a big arbitrage to be filled. And I think that notion of value and that notion of companies delivering value to their customers in a really thoughtful, strategic, and proactive way really transformed the last 15 years of marketing.
And the value, that's what it's all about. And it still is, regardless of how quickly things are changing. I mean, ChatGPT was 3+ years ago, and now it's transformed everything. But when we saw the explosion of MarTech that I alluded to earlier, we saw this rise of RevOps. How did that fundamentally shift the way that marketing teams still operate today?
Yes, if you think about revenue operations, RevOps as like a big trend, I think of the last 5 to 7 years, it was really kind of the RevOps explosion era. I think that is just a symptom of the convergence of sales, marketing, and customer success coming together, is how I think about it.
Okay.
You know, when you have marketing handling a lot of prospecting, doing enablement, doing a lot of the sales work, but also maybe doing customer comms, customer emails for your customer success work, then those three teams are deeply connected. So it's really hard to have very siloed operations teams in that world. And so you needed this more holistic RevOps team that I think when they're the best, they kind of operate like a very neutral party and just figure out what's the best for the business versus like, oh, well, marketing wants to do this and sales wants to do this, and they might be in odds with each other.
What I so respect about RevOps is that collaboration. And it sounds trite, but it's not, because so many CMOs, and we talk to them every week, are talking about integrated marketing and the need to for marketers to speak the CRO's language, the CFO's language, the CPO's language. And that is not trivial. It's really, I think, the way that successful companies are emerging today, especially because AI has emerged in the last couple of years as this massive platform shift. This is as big as mobile, it's as big as the internet. How do you think the transition to getting to that really collaborative effort has reshaped the role of a successful marketer today?
If I look at what it takes to be a successful marketer today versus like 5 to 10 years ago, it has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
First of all, the level of sophistication of marketing has scaled what seems like to be exponentially.
Yeah.
Like the amount of both depth and breadth of knowledge you need to be a really good marketer is pretty astounding right now. And I think that's like, you have to be a deep crafts person. You can't just be a project manager. You can't just outsource to an agency, which was commonplace 15, 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And that is not the case at all today. And I think the best marketers have the right blend of like deep understanding of the customer, deep understanding of the technology and channels to get the solution, get the message to the customer. And they're very like analytical and iterative. You know, the best marketers learn, and that learning compounds, and they're just obsessed with that learning process, because marketing, even in the AI era, you're still making the best possible educated assumption you can.
Yeah.
And the only way to make that assumption better is to learn and get the feedback and keep iterating on it.
Yeah. That feedback loop is incredibly important. I think more than ever before. But one of the things, when you and I first met a few months ago, you said something that just like, that AI broke my marketing's metrics. What is the core issue here? Talk to us about that, Kipp.
I mean, I think AI has broken a lot of how marketing works. And because it has broken how marketing works, it's broken a lot of the metrics. I think one of the things of the inbound marketing era, the last era of marketing, is that visits were really predictable. It's like, oh, I know exactly how many visits I'm going to get from Google search, from Google PPC, from Facebook. And now AI is completely destroying that. You read every thread around, oh, my search traffic's plummeting, my ad costs are going up. And so where visits used to be this very reliable proxy, it's not the case anymore. It used to be like, oh, if I get enough visits, the rest of the down funnel stuff will work out. That's not the case, partially because AI has also enabled us to personalize and engage with our prospects in ways that just wouldn't have been possible before, because you can get so personal at a scale versus like having humans like BDRs, SDRs doing all of that outreach. And so what we've seen is traffic's gone down and conversion rates have gone up because of that really relevant contextual personalization. And so the whole shape of the funnel looks fundamentally different. You know, what used to be a really wide top of the funnel that kind of narrowed down and down, it's like the top of the funnel is kind of shrunk and the middle has widened because the conversion rate has gotten much bigger. And a lot of the opportunity in marketing now today is about how do you actually deliver that kind of conversion rate, high conversion rate experiences across marketing, across SEO, but also like new channels like AEO, right? A visit from ChatGPT converts into a customer for us 13 times more than a visit from traditional Google search. So just way higher intent, massively higher intent. So that changes the shape of what your marketing looks like a lot.
Yeah. You know, I think, Kipp, that personalization that you mentioned, I think we expect that. We want brands to know enough about us that's not creepy, don't cross that line.
Yes.
That they'll deliver the right message at the right time that is contextually relevant. But if we think about AI, is it distorting traditional attribution models? You mentioned a huge multiplier, what you're seeing through ChatGPT, but how are the attribution models evolving?
Yeah, if I think about how you measure your marketing, it's evolving greatly, because let's take something we just were talking about, AEO. AEO is a really good example. So traditionally, in a world of search engine optimization, you'd be like, okay, well, I need to do some stuff on my website. I'm going to do some link building, and I'm going to get some pretty clear attribution of the value of my traffic that I'm getting referred to by Google. Okay. Now with answer engine optimization, AEO, you have mentions or citations that are showing up in Google Gemini, Anthropic's Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc. But one, how you influence those citations and links from those LLMs is very different. It might be from affiliate marketing campaigns you're doing. It might be from community management you're doing. It might be from ultra long tail content you're building, right? And so like that's a lot of different marketing channels that are contributing to this AEO effort. And also measurement is way, way harder, because if ChatGPT just says, hey, go buy HubSpot, but there it doesn't link back or whatever, and somebody just comes to HubSpot and buys it, I have no clue that was because of all this work we did to send somebody the right recommendation in ChatGPT. And so it has broken a lot of how you fundamentally look, and it's made direct response marketing a lot closer to brand marketing ROI and analysis, because you're looking at share of voice on answer engine optimization. You're looking at direct traffic correlations with different activities, which was really only in the brand world before.
So are there some KPIs that just don't work anymore in the age of AI?
It's a good question. I don't know that I think the importance of KPIs are changing, and that, visits in some ways are less important and conversion rate is more important. I think looking at your channel specific ROI of your different marketing channels is much harder. And so I think you're seeing a shift to more incrementality modeling, weighting the value of different activities across your marketing strategy to kind of understand where you're actually getting the biggest ROI and where you should invest and optimize more. I think that's the biggest challenge, is that marketing reporting and analysis has gotten a lot more complex.
More complex. So then what do you recommend that CMOs measure instead of some of the things before? Like, what's the new math of marketing in the age of AI?
Yeah, I think the new math is I care less about visits and more about my conversion rate.
Yeah.
And I also have to know that the quality of my attention varies dramatically. Somebody coming in from a cold Instagram ad versus a high intent ChatGPT citation, massively different, right? So my lead routing, my SLA follow-ups, my prospecting follow-ups on the B2B side for those different people have to be massively different and have to be prioritized in much different ways. So what the math is really looking at, instead of like one funnel, you're running kind of channel specific funnels and prioritizing the highest intent demand in new ways.
So you've been at HubSpot for a long time. You've been CMO for a long time. How
Yeah.
did you react? I mean, AI is moving. We saw the explosion of ChatGPT
Yeah.
about 3 years ago, and it just accelerated everything. And now, 2026, we're Gen AI, people are using it. It's
Yeah.
now agentic. How have you been able to pivot so quickly for HubSpot to be able to deliver the new metrics and what customers are looking for? That's a hard thing to do.
It is a hard thing to do. I think the best leaders, I don't care if you're a CMO or who you are very principled, focused leaders. And one of my principles in marketing has always been that the marketer gets a first mover advantage. The sooner you are to adopt a new technology, the higher percentage of the share of that new technology or new changing customer behavior you're going to see for your company. And the more you wait and kind of try to get clarity and prove it out, you're going to get more predictability, but you're going to get a much lower share of the result. And so it's kind of like an opportunity cost. It's like I'm willing to try some new things that aren't going to work because the ones that do work really, really well. And so that's, I think, I think that's really important. And that's kind of, for us, was the why I was so excited about AI, is because I knew it was going to open up a whole new set of opportunities for us.
So before we get into the loop, which you created, how did you do that culturally? Because culture is so hard to change. It's a sea change. How did you evolve that so quickly at HubSpot to be able to take advantage of the AI wave?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, a leader is a pace setter. And so I had to be the person who was learning the fastest. And I host a podcast called Marketing Against the Grain with my coworker, Kieran. And we do 2 podcasts a week talking about different ways AI is impacting marketing, building different things. And that was awesome. And that led me to be able to just like constantly ping my team, and to the point that they probably were very annoyed with me because it's like, have we done this? Have we tried this? But it sets an expectation for like, oh, we are learning new things and we're innovating. And then more specifically for everybody watching, we took both a tops down and a bottoms up approach, where we picked a handful of things where we thought AI had really good product market fit to solve key problems we had. And we assigned teams to go after that. And that was the tops down approach. And then we also gave our teams, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, a bunch, Xfunnel, all kinds of tools. And we basically shared use cases of how that you could use that for different marketing work, so that everybody could understand and say, oh, that person's using it that way, I could too, and I could apply it to my job. And we found that mix of tops down and bottom up worked pretty well.
It sounds outstanding. And really, the way that you're listening to your team and the way that they're listening to you as the pace setter. Okay, so the loop. Guys, this is an acronym. Yeah. You created, Kipp, this 4-step model for AI adoption. It's called the loop. We're going to break that down. But what, at the end of the day, inspired it?
So what inspired it was the conversation that you just had with me, that I was having with my team and my CEO, which is like, AI has kind of broken our marketing. And how marketing works has changed dramatically. And we were running a bunch of experiments, like we were just talking about, of like, what are the new ways of doing marketing in this new era? And we realized that we kind of had this playbook and methodology that held true across all these experiments. And we're like, oh, this clearly is just like the steps to do anything in this kind of modern age of post-AI marketing. And so we wanted to codify it so that we could do it ourselves and we could have consistency across the team, but we could also help other marketers who are kind of getting that question from their CEO of like, we should be using more AI in our marketing. What are we doing? Right. And this is kind of the answer to that question and that prompt.
I love that, because what we've been doing with CMOs Unscripted and other things is trying to create like this local community of CMOs that learn and share from each other. Mm-hmm. Speaking of learning, if we look at Loop, LOOP, learn is the first word in that acronym. What does it look like in practice for marketing teams? Yeah, so if you look at Loop marketing, there are 4 core stages, and let me kind of walk you through the 4 stages so you kind of understand how we were thinking about it. For the first, and the reason we call it the loop is because this 4 stages kind of interconnect and
compound and build off each other.
It's like a
One of
figure
the
eight.
themes from this show should be that learning is very, very important, and that the benefits of compounding learning is really how you win at marketing today.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's like, hey, here's this loop marketing playbook, and the 4 steps to kind of go after that. The first was, we used to have customer buyer personas and
Oh,
buyer
yes.
research and all of these things, right? And we were like, well, AI transforms all of that and lets you do market research instantly. Like, I've had AI do proxy net promoter score, brand awareness surveys, and it's close. Like, because it's a sampled off of the internet, like you can get pretty good information.
Yeah.
And so Express is about, how do we really speed up our understanding of our buyer and the story we want to tell them?
Okay.
And like, how do we come up with a unique, differentiated point of view? Because in a world where AI is generating all this information, Lisa, it's like, it's the human. It's like what you believe and like the cool, unique point of view you have that is actually going to resonate at the end of the day, versus like the army of AI slop that's out there,
Yeah.
right? So that is largely the first step, is like, how do you express the story you're trying to tell, who you're trying to talk to? The next part of this was what we call like the tailoring stage. And the tailoring stage is all about how you actually create a personal message. Because the inbound marketing era was all about personalization, like the email personalization tokens. Well, now AI can just write bespoke emails, SMS, WhatsApp messages, social messages for you at scale in a way that is really thoughtful. And like, these are like really amazing crafted messages that feel very, very personal to the people that you're sending them to. And we realized that for us, that level of personalization had just huge returns. We saw, campaign performance, 1, 2, 3, 4x better than previous campaigns with this new level of personalization. And that's powered by the fact that AI can use all this unstructured data, all of your customer call recordings, all your PDFs, your documentation, all of the stuff that really was kind of left out of your marketing data stack for so long, right? And there was a big opportunity to unleash that, to tell better stories to your customers.
And how do you, from a scale perspective, progress that and really institutionalize AI to deliver what's going to convert those customers faster?
Yes. So the steps to actually do this are, you have to experiment to figure out what are the types of data that really actually drive the engagement with your customers. For us, we found that it was really, do we know who they are? Do we understand their job? And do we have some proxy for the problem that they're trying to solve right now? Like, what is their business problem? And we found different data sources. We compiled that together. And then we could take kind of this initial baseline message and use that data to really create a personal version. And what that means very tactically is, we would send this email prompt to ChatGPT, to the OpenAI API. It would take all the data plus that prompt, generate an email, and put that email back into HubSpot so that we can send it, or it can be automatically sent from HubSpot.
That's awesome. So Loop is learn, operate, optimize, progress. What does the Loop look like right now inside HubSpot at the beginning of 2026?
Yeah. So for us, we are in the process of just like massively changing how we do marketing.
Yeah.
Right? How we organize our team. We are much more focused on small teams that can have core assistants and agents to scale the work. For us, like a good example, I was talking to somebody who runs marketing in a big part of Asia for us. And when you're in a regional marketing role, you don't have a big team of people to help you.
Right.
You don't. Anybody who's been in that job knows.
Yeah.
And she was telling me about the different agents she has to do, her event research for where her execs are going to speak, all of her outreach for media, all of the work that she was doing. And it's like, she's really running like a team of like 10 people, but just as a solo marketer. And I think that's emblematic of how much this has changed and how much modern marketing is changing.
And so fast. I mean, the speed, we talk about this all the time.
Totally.
I talk about it on iHeartRadio. I talk to a consumer audience there, and they're scared of the speed with which this is progressing. And so I try to tell them the good, the ugly, the in between, but also from a marketing perspective, when I talk to CMOs, when I talk to them on the podcast, there are it's just happening so fast. Some CMOs are saying, do we have the culture that is
Yeah.
receptive enough to respond to it at the pace it's happening? Because that pace is not changing.
Lisa, I identify a lot with that because I talk to a lot of marketers, as you could imagine, in my role. And that's the exact same thing I'm hearing from them. It's like, hey, this is such a cultural shift for us. And how do we help people understand they have to work in a very new and in some ways very different way? And that is, I think it's created a lot of stress amongst marketers out there because cultural change is hard. My general perspective of where we're at is the technology is way ahead of where the humans have adopted and are comfortable changing to. Like we have technology that is, if it didn't get any better today, would still last us years because we have so many people evolving and changing in real time.
Yeah, the speed is it's insane, but we have to live with that. So last few questions for you. Let's do this lightning round. We talked about kind of your expertise over the last 15 years, which just seems like it went by like that. What do you think in this age of AI and agentic AI in 2026, what's the biggest marketing myth of the last decade that we can just do away with?
Oh gosh, the biggest marketing myth is that there are so many. The biggest marketing myth is probably that you have to attribute everything, and like marketing ROI is everything. Sometimes you just have to do cool and interesting stuff, and sometimes the best marketing is the hardest marketing to attribute.
Oh yes, to try it, to see what resonates.
Exactly.
Because people
100%.
are evolving at the same time as the technology is evolving. And it's a challenging mix to kind of reconcile. But what
100.
do you think, if we look at, we're in 2026, and which I can't believe, what is the most underrated AI use case right now for CMOs? What do you think is the most underrated they need to be elevating to the top of the stack?
The most underrated AI use case for CMOs is, I think, answer engine optimization and how you're getting discovered in these modern LLMs, because you're seeing a huge shift. And as Google especially is moving AI to take over the core search result, you have to be playing in that game.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's just like most people I talk to, that's at the top of the list or moving quickly to the top of the list.
It's table stakes. It's not a nice to have anymore. It's table stakes for organizations to be successful, to rise above the noise in the market, because there's so much of that.
Completely agree.
If you had to cut, I talk to companies all the time that have like 23 MarTech tools and it's too much. If you had to cut one tool from your MarTech stack, what goes first and why?
For me, it's largely like very niche point solution subscription software that's not AI focused. And I'll give you a specific example. Like we used a vendor for competitive intelligence software, and we were paying them real money, and it was hard to get people using it. And we were able to rebuild it Notebook LM in a way that like, it's just as good or better in some ways. And it was kind of in a workflow that was better for salespeople. And so that made sense to walk away from that.
What do you think in your years of experience, and you've had such a storied career, I'm such a fan of what you've done and where you're going to go, but what do you think is one habit that made you a better leader for your teams?
Making things. You know, in the early days, I wrote a blog, I do a podcast now. When you create things, when you work in public, you have you know this because you do this, you have an accountability to talk to people, to learn new things, to change your mind. And that is, at the end of the day, what I think makes somebody a really good leader is they keep getting better and then subsequently can help their team get better.
I think so too. I think when you put yourself out there, I was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago talking about imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
And I said, I thought I beat it years ago. And then every time I stick my neck out and do something new, that I haven't done before, or I raise my hand on a public forum like a TV show or a radio and I say an opinion, it creeps back up. And I thought, what I think you have to do is you have to manage it. And because if you have an idea that no one's ever heard of, what's the point? It doesn't go anywhere.
My theory on imposter syndrome is that it evolves into healthy paranoia.
I like that.
I have talked to some of the most successful people in the world, and they all have this healthy level of paranoia of like I'm not good enough. The things I'm doing aren't good enough. I know what can make them better, and I know how I can be better. And I think that's how it evolves. And you can argue if that's healthy or unhealthy, but it does help you get to a new level of what you're trying to do.
It rationalizes it. Healthy paranoia. I'm going to steal that, but I will attribute it to you.
Please. Thank you.
Last question, Kipp. What are you looking forward to as technology continues to evolve at such a rapid pace? You're an amazing company, HubSpot. What is exciting for 2026 for you?
I think 2026 is going to be one of the biggest years of technology advancement in human history.
Yeah.
I could not be there. I'm excited by almost everything, but I think the thing I'm honestly most excited for is for the rest of the world to start understanding what's possible with AI. And the reason for that is because AI lets you go from an idea to making something easier than it's ever been before. And I'm looking forward to a world where people are making more good stuff and don't feel like they don't have the skills to create. Instead, they can just make and create what they think will be helpful in the world. And I think if we talked at the end of the year, we will have a long list of like, can you imagine these things exist? That some smart person made this thing that I love and enjoy now so much. And I'm looking forward to that.
I love that. So am I. And I feel a sense of responsibility when I talk to iHeartRadio audience because it's a millennial Gen X boomer audience, but it's a consumer audience. They're afraid of AI. So I like to share, this is where it's already being successful. I'm going to be honest with you about the areas where people are making it deleterious, but there's so many amazing things that can happen. And I want them to feel empowered to use it, I think, at the end of the day, because I think we have a sense of obligation for that.
First of all, I love that. And thank you for doing that. That's a very, very, very important job. The next thing is like this progress is happening regardless. And any progress in technology always creates some really good outcomes and some less good outcomes. And you just need to be aware of both of those so that you can minimize the less good and maximize the good. And the fact that you're helping people do that is awesome. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, Kipp, it's been such a pleasure. I have been looking forward to this podcast for months. Thank you so much for giving us
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you all for watching. Thanks for having me.
This is awesome. I cannot wait to watch what happens with HubSpot in the next year. I'm going to be a fangirl on the front lines. So thank you again for giving us some of your time. We appreciate it.
Happy to do it. Appreciate it.
All right. For my guest, Kipp Bodnar, I'm Lisa Martin. You're watching CMOs Unscripted Season 2, guys. Thank you so much for checking this out. And we cannot wait to bring you the next episode in a couple weeks. Stick around.